Come on, Annie. Let's go to the movies.
This is the Cinereelists episode 626. My name is Kyle.
My name is James.
And my name is Zach.
And we're here to talk movies, movie lists, and movie obsession for the next hour or so. So, guys, last week I went to a live podcast taping.
Really?
I did, yeah.
What podcast?
The Sporkful. Are you familiar with that?
No.
It's a food podcast. They say it's not for foodies, it's for eaters. It's run by this guy named Dan Pashman. He's not a chef. He's just a guy who enjoys food and enjoys kind of like how do things work. And he kind of marries these two ideas and his idiosyncrasies into looking at food. His big thing is he invented a new pasta shape a couple of years ago that actually took off. And okay. I'm not talking like I made a Ninja Turtle pasta shape, because when Megan told me about this a while ago, she was like, oh, he's inventing a new pasta shape. Like what? They haven't made like my face a pasta shape,
right?
And she's like, no, he's trying to make like a legitimate good pasta shape. And he had this whole mini series about like him going on this journey to learn about how pasta is made and like going to Italy and learn about dyes and trying to convince Italian people that there needs to be a new pasta shape out there.
So what is the pasta shape?
It's called Cascatelli.
Okay.
It's actually quite good.
You've had it.
I've had it. Yes. We do buy Cascatelli. Cascatelli is Italian for waterfall. And you could probably just Google it to see what it looks like.
I'm looking at it right now.
I'm looking at it too. It looks pretty normal.
Well, no one has ever made an open tube with frills on the side before. This is a new pasta shape.
Okay.
So it may not look, unique to you, but this is a unique pasta shape.
It kind of looks like a human spine.
Yeah, they threw out a couple of names. Like the original name was like millipede, as in millipede, because it kind of has that millipede look to it.
Right.
But the idea of associating insects with your food didn't go over so well.
Right.
And then this is kind of taken off where he's also then revived two sort of unknown pasta shapes. So he didn't invent these ones, but one's called Vesuvio, which kind of looks like a volcano. It kind of looks like the poop emoji also.
Okay.
But it's a good pasta, especially with like mac and cheese or like just Vesuvio and cheese. And then one called Quattratini, which is like looks like a cross section of a cable with a bunch of like smaller cables in it. So it's like 5 tubes all connected together. Yeah. Anyway, so now he just wrote a cookbook based on obscure Italian dishes to try and feature both his pasta as well as other pastas dishes that people aren't familiar with. So this podcast taping was him talking about his cookbook in Chicago.
Nice.
Interesting.
Vesuvio looks delicious.
Vesuvio, yeah. If you do Vesuvio with like a cheese sauce, like a mac and cheese with the Vesuvio, it's really good.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. Man, I feel like we need to take over the pasta podcasting market. I think we could do it better than this guy. I could come up with a shape a week. We could discuss it.
Yeah, but he didn't like just come up with a shape. Like he researched it and did testing and like traveled and actually like made prototypes. They found a supplier for it.
Slow. He did slow.
Yeah.
Well, he
Quick. Just pump out shapes. What about this? The shape of
criteria. All right, so we'll list a new pasta shape every week.
W shaped.
Yeah.
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 And we'll just call our podcast Dan Pashman's a Hack.
Pasta talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
I can't imagine what a podcast would sound like about a guy talking about noodles. I'm sure it's interesting and he makes it entertaining, but from somebody who's never listened to it before, I can't imagine what would make me click play on that.
Well, I mean, it's like any, I don't want to say investigative journalism, but it's like any long form series podcast. Like it's not just one episode of like, I'm into the noodle. This is how it is. It was like, there was, multiple episodes in this series about his research and process and his family questioning his sanity of like, why are you going down this road? And
are they like professionally edited, like serial style? Serial SERI.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Style?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, no. This isn't some guy in his basement like recording a podcast,
or like 3 guys in one in
their
his basement,
respective man
one
caves.
in his
No.
basement, recording a podcast.
I mean, I think it started as like a guy in his house recording a podcast, and then as it took off, it became more professional. But
Gotcha.
Yes, this is a
So there's a storytelling element to it, is what you're saying. Because like I could
Correct,
listen to
yeah.
that, but I couldn't listen to three guys, one in his basement, talking about pasta. That just wouldn't. I couldn't imagine that being entertaining.
no. Like this is a podcast that now has a producer and sponsors, and it's
Sure.
like- and most episodes are like a topic of the week with a guest. That's his normal format. But occasionally he goes down like these serial rabbit holes of like looking into this, or like his most recent one is about writing a cookbook, and that's what the series has been about.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it reminded me, like, obviously, I think it'd be great for us to do a live podcast. I don't know how we would do that or if anyone would show up.
You mean in
But-
person?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Like with an actual audience there.
That would be great, but I don't know. I think our fan base is so fractured. Where would we even do it? Where it would make
It is.
sense?
But do you remember when we did like our call-in show during the pandemic?
Yeah,
We should do that again. That was super fun.
we should. We've been talking about it for
Yeah.
2 years now, 3 years now.
Well,
Mhm.
after this experience, I was like, yeah, I think we should do the call-in show again.
All right.
And
I'm all for
we're
it.
only taking pasta questions.
Right.
Right.
No,
Only pasta.
nobody call in talking about movies. We only want
We'll kick you off the Zoom call if you ask a movie question.
Yeah. Well, today we are talking about movies.
We are.
Oh, I have just pasta content, guys.
I don't believe there's any pasta in either of the movies we're talking about today.
I don't know if there's any
No.
eating in either of the movies we're going to talk about. Was
there's
food
food.
consumed?
Yeah, I believe so.
Name.
Well, there's
When?
certainly was coffee.
Is
Coffee
okay.
food?
Or is coffee or drinks food is the question.
There's drinks drank, but I don't remember any
There's
food.
drinks. Yeah.
Yeah.
They go to a diner once, don't they? Like they go on a date.
Right, but is
Oh.
anybody eating?
I don't know. And
These are the big questions we're going to answer during our reviews.
that should be our new podcast. We just call it "Does Anybody Eat?"
Did they
And
eat?
we don't watch the movie. Like we just think of like, oh yeah, Flight of the Navigator.
Did
And
they
we just like,
eat?
huh? Did anyone eat in that
Yeah,
movie?
they ate in that
and,
movie.
And we just discuss it and argue about it for like half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she brings the food service robot.
Well, yeah, I know. I remember that. But does he eat the food though? Like there's food present. Does he eat it?
I think he was very hungry. I think he scarfed it down.
Okay. Is it Sarah Jessica Parker who brings
Yeah.
the food
Oh, yeah,
service?
for
Okay,
sure.
that's her. All right.
Like
I
a
couldn't remember
16-year-old
those.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
With like the pink hair, right? Or a pink strand of hair.
Maybe a pink strand. Yeah.
I think she had a pink strand of hair. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
All
at the
right.
end, we rate it like, did that movie eat? And
Did it eat?
Yeah.
Ooh, did it eat? The new. I think that should be our first spin-off podcast.
We're doing it.
Because that's like Gen Z. They're all about like, did it eat? That's like, did we talk about this like a while ago of like
No.
slang? Yeah, Zach, you brought slang.
James brought slang.
I brought slang.
Oh,
but
you brought
I don't
slang.
remember one
Sorry.
about eating.
Okay, well, I have some older Gen Z coworkers, and they're like, "Oh yeah, did it eat?" That's and not as in
Interesting.
like I ate it, as in like I biffed. Like to eat is to like do really well. So
I've heard-
they
Yummy to
changed
listen to.
the meaning of "eat it" on us, Zach.
Can you believe
Yeah,
it?
James.
James.
I can believe it. Yeah, I can believe it.
No, I'm not done with pasta. Can we? Okay, let's back up a little bit.
We're going to talk about some movies. In fact, 2 movies that share the same title, amongst other things. It's a double feature of the original Roadhouse from 1989, starring Patrick Swayze, and the new remake of that movie, the 2024 version of Roadhouse, starring a guy I'm blanking on.
Jake
Who-
Gyllenhaal?
Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal. Yes. I was thinking Leonardo DiCaprio. I knew that was wrong, so I decided not
No.
to say it. So we're going to talk about those 2 movies. I'm sure there will be some comparing and contrasting going on. All of us hadn't seen either of them until this past weekend, and so they're both pretty fresh in our minds. Before we jump into that, I need to remind you there's a video version of this podcast on YouTube. Go check it out there. Search Cinereelists, watch while you listen. You could also find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Cinereelists. If you want some extra after show audio and you sign up, day 1, there is many hours, over 100 hours of extra after show content waiting to be listened to right away. Also, leave us an Apple Podcast review. If you do that, we'd appreciate it. 5 stars only. Or send us a listener email to heyguys@cinereelists.com, REEL with an S on the end. Send a comment, a question, a list suggestion, any of those kinds of things, and we will read and discuss it on the podcast. You guys ready to get into Roadhouse?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We're going to start with the original from 1989, right after this clip.
All right. People who really want to have a good time won't come to a slaughterhouse. And we've got entirely too many troublemakers here. Too many 40-year-old adolescents, felons, power drinkers, and trustees of modern chemistry. It's going to change.
Man, that sure sounds good. But a lot of the guys who come in here, we can't handle one-on-one. Even two-on-one.
Don't worry about it. All you have to do is follow 3 simple rules. 1, never underestimate your opponent. Expect the unexpected. 2, take it outside. Never start anything inside the bar unless it's absolutely necessary. And 3, be nice. Come on. If somebody gets in your face and calls you a I want you to be nice. Okay. Ask him to walk, but be nice. If he won't walk, walk him, but be nice. If you can't walk him, one of the others will help you, and you'll both be nice.
That was Roadhouse. This is an American action film directed by Rowdy Harrington. What a great name for the director of this kind of movie. Rowdy Harrington. The original Roadhouse stars Patrick Swayze, Ben Gazzara, Kelly Lynch, and Sam Elliott, amongst others. And the official IMDb plot synopsis for Roadhouse is: a bouncer hired to clean up the baddest honky-tonk in a Missouri town. Armed with a black belt in karate and a PhD in philosophy, Patrick Swayze sets out to tame the double deuce for its owner. Kyle's laughing because what?
It's just ridiculous.
It's a silly premise for sure.
It's so silly.
We'll get into it, but did they say he's a PhD in philosophy in the movie?
Yeah.
Yes, when he's in the hospital and the doctor is examining his medical records, and she's like, "Oh, I see you have a PhD."
I totally missed that. I don't
In
know
his
how.
medical records that he brings with him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Carries around with them.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, this is before digitization. Like, to try and order those, it's going to take a long time. So,
Well, he says it's just quicker. Yeah. And if he's frequently injured, then it makes sense.
does he
Right.
like to slip like his college like PhD dissertation in there also? Like, oh, by the way,
That's not his style. No. No.
So it was basically his important documents folder, and what was in there was his college degree or something.
No. It just somehow it was in his medical record.
yeah,
Gotcha.
right.
All right. Yeah. So original Roadhouse. This is kind of a cult classic. Certainly a movie I've been aware of and has been around. I remember going to VHS or to video rental stores back in the day, and the VHS being on the shelf. And for one reason or another, I never watched it. What about you guys?
Yeah,
No,
I had
I've
the
never seen it.
same. Yeah, never seen it. I'd heard of it. I knew it was about Patrick Swayze as a bouncer at like a club out in the sticks. And I knew there was like kickboxing in it or something, but
Sure.
other than that, I knew nothing about it.
Nice. So we've seen the movie. We all watched them in the order of release. So we watched the older version first, the original version first. What did you guys think of Roadhouse, the original?
I thought this movie was amazing. I
Second.
absolutely loved it. I had so much fun with this movie. I think it 100% deserves to be a cult classic. This is the kind of movie you can watch many times and have a lot of fun with your friends watching. I thought it was great. I can't believe I had never seen this before.
Nice.
Yeah, there's this movie made me think of what are quintessentials 80s movies, and not like movies that define the 80s, because like those transcended the decade. This movie is, I feel like, explains the 80s and what movies looked like back then.
It's aggressively 80s.
For sure.
Yes.
It's like this and Rambo 3 are in the same echelon of ridiculous movies. Yeah, I mean, this movie, it's campy and it's cheesy and it's eye-rolling, but it's so much fun.
And it's self-serious in some ways.
Right. Well, I think that's what's eye-rolling about it, is how serious it takes itself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the Patrick Swayze just it does this thing where I kind of like in movies when it gives you a cold open that is just informs you of the character, but it's not related to the overall plot whatsoever. So like we get a cold open that just shows what Patrick Swayze is capable of doing. Right. And then the movie starts after that. So like right away, you're like, this is what this guy is like. And then there's so many fun elements to, like, there's Sam Elliott is great in this movie. There's a monster truck, which they use appropriately.
Yeah.
When I first saw that monster truck, I was like, oh, please have it crush some cars.
They
later.
used it on a stakeout.
right. That would just, yeah.
The perfect
Most
stakeout vehicle.
Inconspicuous thing. There's all this lore about like the one time he had to rip a guy's throat out, and you just knew that was coming back.
Yeah, the throat ripping kind of surprised me. I was not ready for that intense a move in this movie.
And he had like a
you knew it was
signature
coming,
finishing
though.
move.
Right.
Yeah.
Even he was gonna do it once, and like remember when he was gonna do it and he like decided not to. He was like about to do it with his hand that he called himself off. It was so great.
He like looks at his hand like he's an Evil Dead 2. Like who's in control here? Yeah, the hyper violent ending, like the throat ripping is violent, and then there's like this shotgun shootout which ends the movie, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, the movie starts as like just this like very small stakes. You know, you think you know what this movie is, and then it turns into this like, you know, like organized violent crime thing, and it just like gets way more serious and violent as the movie goes on than you're expecting. Yeah.
And like it makes no sense that there's this 80s rich villain who makes his money exploiting a small town. Like that seems to be how he's getting rich, is just
like New York mob style.
But it's like Jasper, Kansas.
Right, yeah. This tiny town, which, I mean, maybe the Roadhouse is what attracts everyone there. That's why they can pull it off. That's why the
well, they got
parts store is so busy.
Now.
Yeah. Every fight is the highest of stakes. Like there's knives in every fight. Like
Lots
people are trying to murder each other in these bar fights.
Right. And there's no police presence whatsoever in this town. Like people can blow up buildings and kill people and it just doesn't matter. Like, there's
we
no
did see the
accountability.
police at the very end, right?
Oh yeah, they were very on top of things.
Yeah, when they walk in and they're like, no one cops. They're like, well, I guess no crime happened here. No one admits to seeing anything.
I loved it. It was so much fun.
James, please, I feel like Zach and I have gone back and forth a lot. Please do chime in.
No, I had fun with it as well. I'm not sure it's intentional fun. Like I don't remember people being fans of this movie when I was younger because it was so hilarious. You know what I mean? Like they thought this movie was awesome, and like you know,
I think this movie is awesome.
And like it was kick ass. Like this was like, you know, this is like Terminator. You know what I mean? It was like up there with like a great action movie of the moment.
It is hyper masculine. Like all the men are so macho in this movie.
For sure. Somehow
except
macho.
That one guy's got a crazy line during that final fight with the main baddie.
That's quite the line.
That was like, I just imagine the writing room wrote that down. They're like, yep, that's gold right there. We're keeping
this movie is so quotable. There's so many good quotes.
Yeah.
When he's like, oh man, he's like, nobody wins a fight. That was a good line. And like, pain doesn't hurt. That was a good line. Oh, so many good lines.
Yeah.
I don't think of this movie as so bad it's good. I think of this movie as so good it's good. Like I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a really awesome movie.
I think it's an unintentionally interesting movie at this point.
Yeah.
But I don't know if was ever a good movie.
I think it's a campy movie that has aged very well.
it has aged
by
well.
not aging at
Yeah.
all. You know what I mean? Like,
right, by capturing the moments that it captured.
right. It's so in that very moment because these guys are like fighting and also having like a high hair competition for some reason. And you know what I mean? It's like, it is exactly the year that it was made. Although 1989, it might be on the tail end of what that 80s look was, right? Because by 91, 92, you've got a
Like
shift,
singles.
a shift in culture, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, by the early 90s. So this might be right at the end of the peak when this
And
one
that
came
may
out.
also be why this movie is as fun as it is, because it did capture the tail end of that whole 80s culture.
Mhm. Yeah. That one line that you referenced towards the end of the movie, that was the only line I had ever heard from the movie. Like
Okay.
I've seen that clip played in different
Right.
places, and it was fun to actually have context for it because it's a pretty wild line for sure.
Did you guys see Keith David was one of the bartenders that was hired?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw
And
that.
He had,
I
like,
was
one line.
Right. I
Mhm.
was just waiting for him to get in a fight or do something the entire movie, and it never happened. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. I did get a little of like a tinge in the back of my brain that was like, I'm appreciating this, but I don't know what people saw in it at the time. Maybe like
Well-
I appreciate it because of the 80s-ness of it, and like how kind of goofy it is at times, and how self-serious it is while also being unintentionally goofy and stuff like that. But like people at the time watching it, like I don't know what I guess probably they saw Patrick Swayze. I imagine that was probably
Right.
for girls and guys the biggest draw of what was going on in this movie. And he's good in it for Patrick Swayze, I would say. But it makes me wonder, it makes me second guess some of my nostalgic love for certain 80s movies. Because I'm sure people watch those in today's time and they're like, why do you like this? You know what I mean? Because it's probably some of those were never good either. In like a good movie way, not in like a time capsule goofy kind of way.
Right.
Which I feel is where this movie falls in for sure. For me.
I would argue that maybe my understanding is when this movie came out, it was not loved or appreciated. And it was time in VHS rentals that gave it, as Zach said, the cult status that it
Yeah.
had. So I don't think this was a stone cold classic when it came out. that we
Especially,
missed.
the cult moniker means that like people found this and thought it was underappreciated and it was their secret film, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't a huge blockbuster success, I'm guessing.
I don't know about like box office, but I know this was one of those movies that like when I was in 7th and 8th grade, kids would rent from the video store because like they weren't supposed to. You know what I mean? It was like a violent
Okay,
action
yeah.
film. So I'm not saying there was like a ton of mega serious fans of it, but it was one of those movies that this movie, like House, the horror movie, Dirty Dancing was like a movie that you wouldn't go see with your parents, but you could quietly rent it from the store. There was like a series of these things in the 80s that were on the rental shelves that you could get away with that you wouldn't necessarily broadcast to everyone that you're renting because there might be something dirty in it or violent or whatever.
I would argue there's another pair of reasons why all your friends were renting this in 8th grade.
Sure. Yeah.
Not just the
Definitely.
violence.
But I think over time, I agree. It's a fun time capsule movie. For sure. I agree with that assessment. Especially since it does go over the top, but not in like a Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze kind of way. Because that felt contrived. You know what I mean? Some of the
Right.
jokes in that movie. Whereas this is like they thought that was interesting or funny at the time, or maybe not even that. I don't know what they were thinking, but man, 30 years later plus, it comes off as really goofy in a fun way.
Well, man, I think maybe I saw it as maybe less goofy and
Mhm.
more just awesome. Like I was along for what they were like. The lines, I guess I mean, they're ridiculous. And like all the situations are ridiculous, and these characters and their motivations, everything's all ridiculous. But if you just enter into the world, it's awesome, because like that's who they are, and that's what everyone's doing. And so I was laughing along with the movie, definitely not at the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun in that way.
Yeah, I think it's one of these movies where you will know in the first 20 minutes the tone of this movie. And that's when you're going to decide whether you're along for the ride or not. And if you're not, that's okay. But like I think for me, first 20 minutes, I was like, where are we going with this? And then I was like, oh, I see what this is. And I like this. Yeah,
that's true. But the tone does shift towards the end. The like back half of the movie has a much more like, I don't know, crime, like serious drama, crime thriller.
Oh, I wrote down in my notes that escalated quickly.
Yeah. For sure.
I had fun with it though. I can't imagine watching it over and over again, which I know some people love this movie and would absolutely do that. I just couldn't.
Yeah. Next time Kyle visits Orlando, we have to watch this.
I will watch Roadhouse again 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine watching it with other people, but I'm not popping it in on my own to watch again. I couldn't imagine it.
That's too bad. That's your loss.
I guess.
That's your loss.
Do you want to hear Galen's favorite part of the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
none. He didn't get to watch this.
Oh, man. That's too bad.
How many years before he can watch Roadhouse, 1989?
If this is a movie where he doesn't need to watch with me, he can watch it.
Discover it on his own.
He can discover it on his own. Yeah, there's some, there's some movies like we're gonna watch Terminator 2 together. That's something when he gets older, that'd be a fun one to watch together. Right. Roadhouse, he can watch on his own. We don't need to watch this together.
Do you know that this movie, it wasn't until I started the movie and it started playing that I knew if this was the plot of Roadhouse or The Lost Boys, because those are both movies that like hold the exact same place in my mind before I saw this. Of like, I knew one was about one thing and one was about another, and I didn't know which was which. And so like I always thought of those two movies as like the same thing, pretty much.
Well, one's a vampire movie.
Yeah.
So did you think this is a vampire movie going into it?
I didn't know. I was very open to it being a vampire movie.
Okay. Yeah. that would have been a crazy twist.
Yes.
If it was evil billionaire vampires that were taking over the town.
Yeah.
That would have been wild.
Actually, you know what you're thinking of? You're thinking of From Dusk Till Dawn, because that's kind of those two movies matched into one.
Maybe. Yeah, good point. Anything else to say? Or you guys want to letterbox the original Roadhouse?
The last thing I want to say is this movie made me realize that Sam Elliott has always been old.
Yeah, how old was he when that was made?
Like, he was our age.
Yeah.
Maybe a little older than us.
It was fun seeing him like a character, not just like a old cowboy.
Yeah. I mean, this movie was released 34 years ago, and he was the old guy in the movie. So.
Yeah, he was like the wise sage at 40, whatever. Though I imagine the life of a cooler, it probably don't last very long. It's probably hard on the body. It's a lot of knives and roundhouse kicks you have to deliver.
A lot of hits to the knee.
Yeah. Though, so that was something where when he said like kick him in the knee, I'm like, yeah, that's very true. Like if you want to incapacitate someone quickly, a good stomp on the knee, that's going to mess them up and make them not want to fight anymore.
I love that they did it like maybe 12 times in the movie.
Right. Because it's effective. Like you take a knee out, you can't stand anymore.
Sure. All right. Roadhouse. Let's letterbox it. What'd you guys think out of 5 stars?
Go ahead, Zach.
I gave it 4.5.
I'm going to give this a 4.
3.5 for me.
Nice.
A 3.5, a 4, a 4.5 for the original Roadhouse. Now we're going to talk about the new Roadhouse from 2024, right after this clip.
Did you see Fred on your way in?
What's that?
Fred, the tree on the bridge. Not the main bridge, but the old one beside it, the historic 7-mile bridge. He grows right in the middle of the road. Did you see him?
I can't say that I did.
You know, that whole bridge is closed. You can't get to it, but big old tree just kind of pops out of nowhere. Well, That's Fred the Tree. And, got a book on him, if you're interested. It's full of local color and all. It's great for tourists. I'm Charlie, by the way.
Hey, Charlie. You run this bookstore on your own?
No. I am one of the owners, though. What brings you to Glass Key?
I'm here to work at a bar.
Bartending?
No.
What other job is there at a bar?
Well, the owner's having a little trouble, I guess, and I'm here to clean it up.
That kind of sounds like the plot to a Western. Like, local townsfolk send for a hero to help clean up the rowdy saloon. You know that crap.
Charlie, leave this poor man alone. Yeah, I'm sorry she gets excited about selling books and trees and Fred. No, hi, I'm Steven.
Don.
Oh, he's here to work at the Roadhouse.
That was Roadhouse, a 2024 American action film directed by Doug Liman. This movie stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Daniela Melchior, Billy Magnuson, Jessica Williams, Joaquim de Almeida, and Conor McGregor, amongst others. The official IMDb plot synopsis for Roadhouse 2024 is: an ex-UFC fighter, Dalton, takes a job as a bouncer at a Florida Keys roadhouse, only to discover that this paradise is not all it seems. All right. What'd you guys think of the new version of Roadhouse?
Can I tell you right away my biggest issue with this movie right off the bat?
Sure.
It's not my biggest. It was one of the first things that stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
The bar, which in this case is called the Roadhouse, which I'm gonna admit to. I thought before I saw the original Roadhouse, I thought the bar was also called the Roadhouse, which they call it is the Double Deuce, right?
The Double Deuce.
Yes, yeah. Well, in this case, it's called the Roadhouse, which is they're supposed to like to wink and a nod. Haha, very funny. This bar was way too nice from the get go.
It's
Like,
pretty nice.
It wasn't
walked
as
into it.
seedy as the original. I agree.
Yeah, right. It wasn't as seedy, but also it wasn't like it just nothing was broken. Like all the tables were clean, the floor looked nice, like the thatching was perfectly in line. And I was like right away, I'm like, well, this isn't a dump at all. Like this place looks nice. And I think that just kind of set the whole tone of like this movie was just too polished looking for me. And I didn't get that seediness or that campiness that I was really enjoying in the original Roadhouse. I have other issues with it, but just the setting itself right off the bat.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean the bar in the original. I imagine we're going to do a bunch of comparisons to the original in this review.
You can't.
The bar in the original looked like what bars look like when you turn all the lights on, which is not how bars function.
No.
But when you want to light a movie, I guess that's what they went with. This was a more accurate representation of a bar. Like they actually had bar lighting. And so that I think that makes it look nicer. I bet if you turned all the lights on in this place, it would look just as shabby, but I don't know. That's just my excuse for Doug Liman maybe falling asleep at the wheel on the production design.
I'm just like, I don't think anyone was selling a good Buick at this bar.
Sure.
That was so funny. The original. Never seen that before. That was amazing. James, what did you think of this new Roadhouse?
You can definitely look at this movie in two ways. You can look at it the way we forced ourselves to look at it, which was watch the original, which has passed the test of time on some level, and then immediately watch the reboot, which is probably not a fair way to really evaluate a movie. Or you can attempt to take it on its own face value. And on its own face value, I would say it wasn't that bad. As an action movie with a bunch of fighting in it, UFC style here and there, it's not as bad as they come. That's for sure. Does it lose quite a bit of the original's charm in the translation? Yeah, I think it does. But also, this wasn't made 34 years ago. It was made today. It's never going to have that charm. unless 34 years from now we think most of the stuff in this version is goofy too. Which I doubt, because even like the dialogue isn't near as
fun.
Yeah, fun
well
or
written.
I don't even know if the original's well written. I think it's badly written, depending on what kind of movie you're trying to make. I don't know. How serious do you think the people that wrote the original, do you think they wrote it with the headspace of like, this dialogue, people are going to laugh at this? They're going to...
I mean, at least the original felt like they had a couple passes through it.
Mhm.
And this dialogue at times felt like it was a first draft. Like the conversation that I can't remember her name, the woman that owns the bar,
Mhm.
when she goes to the fight and she goes and talks to Jake Gyllenhaal, and she basically says like, I want to hire you to clean up my bar because it's a mess and I need, like she just spouts the entire movie in a run-on sentence in 10 seconds.
Mhm.
And I was like, really? Like, no one read this dialogue and said, can we clean this up or like, make this a little less clunky?
Sure. Maybe since I had already watched the first one, that didn't bother me at all, because
I already watched the first one too.
Same premise as the first one. Yeah.
No, the premise is the same to an extent. There's nitpicky differences, but just like
Sure.
the delivery of the premise was, it felt so like, just, well, let's get this over with.
Mhm.
Like let's get to the good stuff. And then the good stuff never happened for the most part.
Sure. Okay. Well, like, broad thoughts, treating the movie fairly and not comparing it, I would say it's not that bad as far as these movies go. And I think it's not that bad as far as these movies go, purely on the back of Jake Gyllenhaal being kind of charming in it and goofy. Like, he has this weird grin on his face through most of the movie, where he kind of like, he can't even understand why he's in this either as this guy, or like, I don't know, like, there were times in this movie where I was thinking he did this just so he could work out. You know what I mean?
Get ripped. Yeah.
Like, somebody brought him this project and he was
definitely
like,
worked out.
Yeah, he was like, I'll do it as long as you get me a trainer for 6 months.
Yeah.
Get totally shredded and get paid for it. Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like that vibe here and there. I liked the move to the Keys because I've spent time in the Keys. It was fun to see the Keys on camera. Anytime there's like a Florida or a location that I've been to before, you get a half-star bump for that.
Even though this was shot in the DR.
Right. But, well, they did shoot on the main road. So, like, other than the interiors, it looked very Key. Plus, the Dominican Republic looks very Key West.
Well, no, yeah, I know. Right. Yeah. Well, I
Right.
don't. I've never been to either, but I imagine they're both like, Caribbean-ish.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wish they had gone a little more intentionally campy on this
Yes.
one. My
Yep.
favorite parts of this movie was the henchman who was kind of like a little enamored with the Jake Gyllenhaal character. And
They got the broken arm. Who
Yeah,
kept,
he was
like saying hi to him and
right.
Yeah.
He understood that like they were both playing a role in this war, I would say. And he didn't necessarily hate the Dalton character played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Nor did Jake Gyllenhaal hate him. It's just they happened to be on opposite sides. And I liked that little bit of clearly intentional goofiness to it. I think the original has that in there. I just don't think it was intentional. I think they thought they were making a badass movie in 1989, and it turns out that people laugh at that movie. And that's why it's popular, not because it's really that cool a movie in the end. Whereas this movie, I think, will never get that because it isn't cheesy enough to get that. Like, I think eventually people just won't think about this movie because there's nothing hugely memorable about it. It's just another kind of like UFC based fighting movie, with the oddity of Jake Gyllenhaal in it and Conor McGregor's first acting role, which nobody cares about long term, or nobody is going to care about long term. I don't know. I enjoyed this one too, but for very, very different reasons, despite them being the same movie on paper. What'd you guys think about it?
So I have 3 issues with this movie that are not related to the original Roadhouse. I'm trying to separate those to be fair. I'm like, here's things I didn't like that have nothing to do with the original. I found Jake Gyllenhaal Dalton's character's past a waste. This whole haunted past with the UFC. It seemed like they needed to try and explain why he was a good fighter. Because again, they're saying the original never explains why Swayze's a good fighter. He just is, right? And this one, they're like, oh, we need to explain why he's a good fighter. And I remember like 6 months ago seeing on Twitter, like people taking footage from like a UFC fight and be like, oh my goodness, Jake Gyllenhaal's here filming a movie. I was like, oh, cool. Is Jake Gyllenhaal making like a UFC movie? This should be awesome. And then it turns out it's for like flashbacks for this. I was like, this is what they use that for?
Sure.
So like that did nothing for me whatsoever. The fighting, and I know Doug Liman, you know, he's done a lot of fight choreography before, but how the fighting was filmed in this one felt really fake, like just how the camera moved. It seemed like there was some sort of like CG trickery going on. And then I read, and I want to read more about this. I'm trying to find an article, but I read that they used CG body doubles to actually connect the punches to like make it look more real.
Like
and
they would stretch out arms and stuff to make
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And I think that's what looked uncanny to me. And that's why the fights looked not real, because they were using, you know, computer effects to like make the fights look more impactful. That ended up making them look worse to me. And Conor McGregor, just yikes. Like I've heard him talk before. He is Irish. He does have an accent. It's not like that. Like he was
really?
playing he was playing a character. He was kind of like walk around like this, like doing like this, I don't know, like trying to do his best like Packy impression from Snatch or something.
He was so jolly.
I did not care for him whatsoever. I mean, I guess he was making a choice and good for him, but it did not work. And I did not think he was enjoyable in this movie whatsoever. So those are my 3 non-comparison related issues with this Roadhouse. Zach, go ahead.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I liked this movie.
Okay.
I had a fun time with it. I didn't like it as much. It's a very different movie. It's kind of a different take on the same story, which I would love. I mean, I would love if like Ocean's 11, if we had, you know, kind of like remember those old BMW films back in the like late 90s or early 2000s?
Clive Owen.
Well, yeah, they would have like different directors take
Yep.
the same like car and tell stories about it. I would love if they would take these movies that are just really good stories like Ocean's 11 and then have 5 directors just make them into different genres and totally different takes. And like, that's kind of what this is. It's like a different genre of the same story a little bit. This one's much more straight down the line, you know, kind of like action, crime kind of thing. Not thriller, but you know, whatever that is. But I had a good time with it. Jake Gyllenhaal is such an interesting actor in the sense of he's from the very early days, he's perfected the dumb grin.
Yeah.
And it just every time he's very good at it. You know, it just kind of works for every character that he plays. He got absolutely shredded for this. I thought he was an interesting character in this. I enjoyed watching him. I liked the bar. I liked the love interest is way better in this movie than in the original. The original, she's just so, I don't know. She's just there for exploitation purposes. Like
she's a bombshell.
Women are treated like women were treated in these movies in the 80s. They had no story to themselves.
Right.
Whereas in this one
seems like a real character, a real person, an interesting person. Yeah, the Conor McGregor part, I actually really enjoyed that.
Really? Oh my god. Okay.
No, for like maybe for the same reasons. Yeah, maybe the reasons that James enjoyed the original Roadhouse, in that like I thought he was doing a bad job, and like I was like this is a terrible acting job, and I hate the character he's created and the voice and all that. But it's hilarious to me that it's Conor McGregor like doing this role, and I thought that aspect of it was just super funny. And so I did enjoy it. And he played a big role. I mean, it was a major role, I thought. And he absolutely sold the fact that he was an intimidating force to be reckoned with. Like he was an actual big boss that seemed like he could be a threat to Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
Right.
Whereas a lot of times it's not. Like the main bad guy in this movie, he doesn't seem like a threat at all. I mean, like just Jake Gyllenhaal could have taken him out at any point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas Conor McGregor was a little bit more threatening.
Yeah, like this bad guy is a rich kid who's using daddy's money to do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, he kind of feels like a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
I think if the movie was as campy as Conor McGregor's performance, it would have worked. But Conor McGregor felt like he was in 1989 Roadhouse. Like he watched that movie and said, "Oh, this is what I'm doing." And where Doug Liman's like making, "Oh no, I'm making like a modern, updated, more serious. There's more pathos to this movie than what they did 30 years ago or 35 years ago." And I think that was a disconnect for me because I think we agree that he's bad in this movie.
Yeah,
but he's bad in the wrong ways because he's not the same bad as this movie is being.
Yeah, I just thought the meta-ness of it was awesome that he is in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, from an acting perspective, I'll agree that there was a choice made, and I'm not sure it was the right choice. But I liked him in the action sequences. I thought he was like formidable, and I liked the way it was filmed too. There were like mini long takes that were clearly stitched together digitally here and there. And by mini long takes, I mean like in a fight scene, there's like 20 seconds without a cut. That's not normal. Yeah. Normally they're fast cutting things. And so I was impressed by moments of that. I didn't like when the catamaran fell from the ceiling, and that was like clearly a digital effect. You guys remember that at some point?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
There were a couple things like that with the building where I was like, okay, you can't just do that.
That was
for
2
real.
seconds. That was so minor.
I agree, but I'm just saying, like, why even have it in there? Like, why drop there was some campiness in this. Like during one of the bar fights, there was like somebody climbing the wall for no reason whatsoever. I don't know if you noticed
shouted
that.
Bar fights during one of the bar fights, which I thought was funny.
So I think they were trying to inject some fun into this thing. I'm just not sure it can ever be as fun as the one that's 34 years old. You know what I mean? Because that one is like intentionally and unintentionally funny. This one just has to live in the today. Go ahead.
This one had a speedboat chase, which was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. I'm not saying like the whole thing was bad.
Right. I do wish it had gone a little more over the top with the bad guys. Like even the son and stuff like that. I kind of wish they had gone even bigger. And maybe given the love interest a little more to do, like in the fight sections or something like that. I don't know. Like have her get caught or.
You want her to be a damsel in distress?
I don't know.
But she was.
Yeah, here and there.
Oh, true. I guess she was at some point a damsel in distress. You're right.
Yeah, or like give her a baseball bat or something. Give her a moment where she gets to save him or something. I don't know. Something like that. It just felt like at some point they kind of dropped that and whatever. It didn't matter.
In one sense, I think this character of Dalton is way, way more troubling. Like there's this one shot towards the end of like a big cooler. And it makes the whole movie, that one shot makes the whole movie so much darker.
Sure.
Than if they didn't include that shot.
A big cooler?
Yeah.
A literal ice cooler. An ice box.
Yeah.
And there's something in the ice box.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
I mean, just that image of like in his houseboat, there's a cooler that is so dark to think about. Like this guy, like legitimately is a psychopath, right? He's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the alligator too? That was campy. Like the idea of
I liked the alligator. Happening. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's moments in this movie that show some interest in why people like the original. You know what I mean? I'm just not sure it all hit.
Yeah. I think if I had watched this first, or if I had watched this by itself, I'd have a different opinion.
Not a totally different opinion.
Not a totally different opinion, but I would probably like a little bit more. I think
Sure.
my biggest issue with this one is it lacked the charm of the 89 version.
Right.
And that could be because the 89 version is 34 years old and has aged a certain way.
Right.
And like that may not be a fault of this movie it's going to be a fault of this movie just being recent and not being something from that I remember a different era.
Part of me thought I was being generous to this movie. Like I was filling in gaps with knowledge I had from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that I wouldn't have been able to do had I never seen it. And I probably would have found stretches of it long and boring. You know, like all the stuff with the bookstore was just a waste of time.
If you couldn't make the comparisons, you mean, in your brain.
So like the car store in the first movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The monster truck, not to go back to the first movie, but the monster truck going through a clearly fake showroom in that first movie was hilarious to me. I mean, it was a showroom without a ceiling on it.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet it was surrounded by glass for no reason whatsoever.
Did I tell you guys I went to a monster truck rally a couple weeks ago?
I think you told me off podcast, but
I did. Oh, I didn't tell you this, Zach?
No.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Was it?
Oh my goodness. Well, so like my parents never took me as a kid. I always wanted to go see monster trucks. They were like, no. That's not culture. We're going to Mum and Shots instead. And then, so finally I'm like, well, I'm an adult. I have my own kid and he wants to see monster trucks. So like a month ago, we went to the Coliseum for monster trucks and it was everything I wanted it to be.
Which was what? Monster trucks?
There was trucks crushing cars. There was they rolled over. One truck was doing like, you know, they can turn independently the front and rear axles.
Mm-hmm.
So they would do like these donuts. And one truck did the donuts like so insanely that actually popped a tire. Oh, wait, no, it did a jump. No, this is a different one. A truck did a jump. When it landed, it popped a tire. A piece of the tire shot into the stands. I'm like, oh, that's why the first 4 rows are empty.
Wow.
Yeah, like someone would have been seriously injured from this. I was like, oh, okay, this is dangerous. Yeah, they had dirt bikes doing like motocross stunts.
Sure.
It was awesome.
At one point, I bought tickets for me and my son to go. And then it ended up being the same night as a daddy-daughter dance that my older daughter was much more aware of happening.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And my son had no idea it was coming, you know, so I went with the one that knew what was happening. And so I didn't get to go.
But you should definitely take them and definitely bring ear protection because it's ungodly loud.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
like the trucks are loud, or are they like just playing heavy metal the entire time?
No, the trucks are so loud because there's no mufflers on these things. Like,
Sure.
like there's these insane, I don't even know what, I don't know engines. There are these insane engines and like they just crank them.
Right.
They want like, every time they give
loud.
them gas. They want to be loud too, I'm sure also. So
Right.
yeah, like if there's people without ear protection there, I'm like, how can you stand this? It's like being next to a jet engine.
Interesting.
Sweet. Any other thoughts on this movie? Oh, can I say one thing? My least favorite part of this movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
At one point, him and the owner of the Roadhouse are having a conversation by the water, and he asks her like, "Hey, so why is it one word and not, or why is it 2 words and not one, or something like that?" And that the entire conversation I hated so much because it sounded like he's trying to like do it in like an insider joke about the name Roadhouse, but I didn't get the joke and it wasn't funny and it didn't make any sense to me.
So my understanding is that Roadhouse is supposed to be one word.
Okay.
Like it's a noun. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's a roadhouse. And then for whatever reason, the 89 version movie made it 2 words, Roadhouse. I don't know why. I think this movie was making a joke about the mistitling of the original movie.
I agree. It was just so meta and so out of place and so stupid.
It wasn't good. And then they had the fallout joke with the boat.
Yeah.
And why isn't it called the boat ocean? Or the ocean boat? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Like it would have been funnier if it was called the ocean boat or whatever. I don't know.
Also, I guess I'm young enough where I've never heard the term Roadhouse for anything besides this movie. Like I'm not familiar with that term of art. You know what I mean? In general,
Okay.
Like, I've never referred to anything as a roadhouse, and it's just like a restaurant or a bar on the side of a highway.
It's a bar in the country. Like the Doors had a song Roadhouse Blues.
Okay.
It's a bar where like only locals go to it type of thing.
Often live music. Like imagine like the Blues Brothers. They went to roadhouses. Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of a bar out on the sticks.
One thing we did not mention at all, but for both of these movies, I enjoyed the music quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's tons of live music.
I actually liked the music better in the 2024 one, just because they had like bands rotating through. I nothing against the band in '89. I thought they were really good, especially like how that guy played guitar on his lap was super unique. I did appreciate that 2024 had different bands playing. And there's that one band that's playing during the huge bar fight. Like they just play the entire way through. It's like it's a bunch of older guys. Like, they look ZZ Top-ish. I thought that was really funny.
In the original, having the fence up made sense. Like it made 100% sense that they would have that fence up. In this movie, the fence seems way out of place in that bar.
Right. And also the original, it shows you how the bar changes because eventually the fence comes down to say this is a nice place.
Mm-hmm.
And this bar never changes. It's the same from the beginning to the end. I mean, there's a boat that goes through it, but like she makes no improvements to the bar whatsoever. It's not like, oh, it's a safe place now. The fence can come down. It's always there.
Yeah. That all makes sense. I kind of wish they had just carried over the name of the original bar.
The Double Deuce.
Yeah, into this one.
Me too.
Like, it seems like, I mean, the name was there next to the book club.
Yeah, unfortunately, the bakery got that name first. So
right, but like, that's a small nod where you don't have to really do anything. You just keep the name, change the location. It works in Key West just as well. It's not like they came up with a better name. They just named it Roadhouse for no reason. There wouldn't be any place in Key West named Roadhouse. It's lame.
Sorry, the Roadhouse?
Whatever. How do you guys feel? I mean, I'm sure UFC doesn't care, and they probably either got paid or paid to be named in this movie. But man, I mean, basically the lead character is like a psycho bouncer who accidentally murdered a man in a UFC fight.
I don't think it's accidental.
I'm just saying it's not the best look if you're trying to be considered a respectable sport, but maybe UFC doesn't care about that anymore. I know at one point it was very important to them to be not seen as barbaric and these types of things, or like safer than boxing, they used to say, but maybe they've ditched all that at this point.
They used to say safer than boxing?
Yeah. UFC used to say they were safer than boxing because the most fights didn't end in a knockout or major head trauma. People would go to the ground and choke each other out and stuff like that, which realistically is probably safer than getting hit to the head, how many rounds in a long boxing match. I don't know if it was ever proven to be safer, but Dana White back in the day used to claim it was. What were you going to say, Kyle?
The original UFCs, like if you look at the Gracie ones, like UFC 1 through 10 or whatever, like before Dana White took over, those were borderline barbaric.
Right. But when he took it over and it started
when Dana
to get
White
popular,
took over, it was a much different change. Yes.
Right. Then they started to stop fights when people were clearly knocked out.
And added rounds.
Right. Added rounds. They did all kinds of stuff.
In the old one, if you got knocked out, it kept going until your corner literally threw the towel in. So there's footage of guys just passed out on the ground being wailed on until someone throws a towel in. Like the ref is just like, all right, well, keep going. He's not dead yet.
In the originals, weren't they like gloves optional too?
Oh yeah. If you watch the first one, it's everyone came with like their own specific martial art.
Right.
So you have like a Krav Maga guy fighting a guy with one boxing glove on. Yeah. There was a sumo wrestler lost a tooth in the first one because he got kicked in the teeth because no one's wearing a mouth guard or anything.
That's amazing. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, no, yeah, they're pretty astounding in their brutalness and like in their whole. I don't know, just let them go at it till someone stops, I guess.
Right.
So, yeah.
So in that sense, they cleaned it up, but
Dana White definitely like sanitized it and commercialized the UFC.
Right, but maybe now that it's a thing, right? It's not going to not be a thing. Then they're like, oh yeah, you can put a character in a movie that like, killed a guy in the ring. That I don't know. It's just a weird way to promote your your fighting league or whatever.
Have people died in fights
in the UFC?
I don't think I've never heard of a UFC fighter. No. Yeah. But people have died boxing in the ring.
Sure.
Anyway, anything else with Roadhouse 2024? Anything we haven't covered?
No. Let's letterbox it.
I enjoyed it, but for different reasons, for sure. Like the original is an enjoyable watch just because it's so campy, and you kind of don't expect it to continue being campy, and it just keeps going. Like every time you think you've heard the most ridiculous line, somebody else will say something more ridiculous. Whereas with this one, it's more of like an action movie with a revenge plot built into it in a weird way. And I enjoyed them both on the same level, but for different reasons. I'll give this one a 3.5.
This is a 3.5 for me. I liked it. I didn't like it as much, but I enjoyed it.
If I was reviewing this in a vacuum, it would probably be a 3. But the entire time I was watching this, I was just missing the charm of 89 Roadhouse. So I'm going to bump this down to 2.5.
All right. 1 2.5 and 2 3.5s for the remake of Roadhouse.
It's amazing. I'm nostalgic for a movie that I saw a week ago.
For sure.
You guys know we had a missed opportunity. There is a third movie called Roadhouse, Road Space House.
Is that true?
There's a Roadhouse 2 as well.
Well, there's that, but there's a 1948 film noir called Roadhouse.
Does it have anything
no
to
relation
do with
to
these?
these? No, but
Okay.
it would have been great to pair those three together.
I agree. Before we get out of here, I thought it might be fun to test drive a little game that I came up with this week. This game is titled Best Original Song.
Okay.
And in this game, I have AI generated songs based on movies. And we will listen to the song. And you guys will stop me when you have a guess on what movie this song is about.
Okay.
Okay.
Is
Do
the
these
song
songs
it's
have
about
lyrics?
the movie, or is it a song that might appear in the movie?
I gave AI a prompt that said, write a song about X movie.
Okay.
And sometimes I gave it genres. Sometimes I didn't. I just let it choose whatever it wanted to. And it just wrote it. I will say that I got smarter with the prompt later, and I added a little back sentence on the end that said, and don't mention the title until the chorus. So some of the early ones, you're going to have to get quick because they will literally say the name of the movie in some of these within the first couple lines. Okay.
Okay.
How do you guys want to signal to me that I should stop the song?
I got it.
Yeah, I say I
Okay.
got it, and then James will stop, and then the person who says I got it can
Or-
make their
okay.
guess.
I will either say I got it or stop the song.
And
Okay.
can we say, if let's say Zach says stop and he makes a guess and it's wrong, can he then guess again, or does the next
I
guess
gotta
have
wait
to be
at
for
least
me?
15 seconds.
15 seconds before you guess again. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. But I could guess right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
But
it. Okay.
again, the signal is I got it. Wait for me to pause, then make your guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
James, could you also in case we say I got it at the same time, could you pause and then say Zach, go ahead, just so there's no confusion on who said I got
I'll
it.
pick who I heard first. I hear you.
Perfect, and I will trust.
Maybe just pick who you've known longest.
Okay. All right, you guys ready for the first
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
All right, here we. Oh wait, let me turn this off because I think Zoom's probably gonna mute it on you guys. Here you go. Ready?
In the depths of the wild, a story unfolds. Ancient giants once roamed this land so bold. Jurassic Park,
I got it.
Got it.
a glimpse into
I heard Zach.
Oh,
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Yes, there's 8 of these. Does somebody want to keep score?
I'll keep score.
yeah.
It was Jurassic Park. Do you want to hear a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Can we
do.
just say that was ridiculous?
What?
That was ridiculous. That song.
Wait till it keeps going.
past, where wonders and perils forever last.
This is completely generated by a machine, an unthinking
Fences
machine.
and gates can't
Yep.
contain their might. Velociraptors run wild under the moonlight. The T-Rex reigns, a king of ages old. A predator's instinct, fierce and bold. Jurassic Park, where nightmares come alive.
The lyrics don't match the music at all.
Echoes of the past, secrets they strive.
All right,
Weird Al's out of job.
that's pretty much it.
That's incredible.
That's great.
All right, here we go.
Yep.
Number 2. These will get more difficult as we go along. These first
Awesome.
couple are not that hard. Here we go.
In a world that's not quite what it seems.
Got it.
Where secrets
Wait. Pause it. He said he got it.
Kyle.
Yeah. The Matrix.
That's correct. The Matrix. In a world that's not quite as it seems. That's what he guessed on.
He made a judgment call that you're going with very popular movies.
Well,
I mean,
I didn't want to
right.
make this too difficult.
Yeah.
For sure.
Can we hear more of it?
Yeah,
I wanna hear more of
absolutely. Here we go.
linger beneath the seams. Oh yeah, a glimpse of truth in between the lines, unraveling
It's got auto-tune.
reality's design. Lost souls wander in a digital haze, unaware of the game they play. Oh yeah, fragments of truth begin to collide in this illusion no one can hide. Breaking through the code that binds our minds.
Did you prompt genres, or did the AI come up with like genre all by itself?
In the beginning, I wasn't prompting, and it all sounded very samey, and so I started prompting
Okay.
the
Okay.
genres. But the ones you've heard so far, I didn't prompt. It just came up with it. I'm not sure this is actually doing the movie Matrix, because they never mention like rabbits or martial arts or even the words Matrix. I think they took it as like the concept of the Matrix.
Oh, well, I mean, but they did say like living alive in a digital haze or something like
That's
that.
true.
So,
Yeah.
but you're right. You're right. They're not. Whereas Jurassic Park was very literal with like velociraptors and
Right.
under the moonlight. This one's more like the new metal song that played during the credits.
For sure. Okay, you guys ready for another one?
Yeah.
Here we go.
In the darkest corners, where shadows hide, there's a secret fight club.
I got it.
Oh, that was, I don't know who got that first. I mean, it sounded at exactly the same time.
Okay, well then we'll both know it's Fight Club, so just
It's Fight
don't give a
Club.
point.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a wash on that
It's
one.
moved, yeah.
Okay. We got to listen to a little more of this one.
Oh, please, yes.
It's great.
With a blistering baseline and a blowing beat, the stage is set for chaos and deceit. Talent turns the man with the master plan. Project Mayhem leaving his mark across the land. With a heavy guitar riff and a relentless groove, we're breaking the rules and we've got everything to prove. Fight, fight, like there's no tomorrow. Fight, fight, no rules, no sorrow.
I mean, this sounds like a generic, like new metal punk song. Like the fact that it says Fight Club is the only thing that tipped me off.
Oh, Tyler Durden's the man with the master plan.
Oh, did they say that?
Project Mayhem leaving his mark across the land. Those
Did
are
we hear all
pretty
those
specific
things?
to the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I missed that.
They came after the word, there's a secret fight club, which is what prompted both of you guys.
It could be Pig.
But I wonder if it'll tell me the prompt that I gave it. I don't see anywhere. No. It won't tell me what I originally typed in. I think I may have told it to make a rap rock version of that. Okay, here we go. Number 4.
In the shadows I emerge, a phantom dancer with a heart unpurged, stealing from the rich,
I got it.
giving to the poor.
Zach.
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. Yes.
Can we hear more?
Wait, they say a phantom dancer.
In the shadows I emerge, a phantom dancer with a heart unpurged.
Okay.
Stealing from the rich, giving to the
giving
poor.
To the poor. That gave it away. Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go.
Brave and bold forevermore. With a bowing hand, I take aim. Arrows fly, justice is my game. Fighting for the rights of those oppressed. In the darkness, I am blessed. I am the outlaw of the night. Rolling through the beacon of light. Defying the law, fighting for what's right. This distorted world I'll ignite.
So anyway, I probably should have put in Disney's Robin Hood because I think they just wrote a song about Robin Hood in general.
Sure.
But
But still, yeah. You know, someone on Discord, a listener, sent us some AI generated images of Robin Hood.
Yeah.
And I want a trailer now, an AI generated trailer cut to that song for like the new
totally.
Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I have the feeling when we get off this, I'm going to give Zach the URL and he's going to generate 1,000 Robin Hood songs off of it. Just have a Robin Hood playlist.
I got to go, guys. I got to go.
All right, ready? Number 5.
Yeah.
This game will definitely make a reappearance. For sure.
Oh, this game is
I love
great,
this game.
James. I love this game.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Here we go.
In the depths of an infinite cosmos, a voyage through space.
Oh, got it.
Kyle.
This has to be 2001: A Space Odyssey.
It is 2001: A Space
Yeah.
Odyssey.
Yeah.
In the depths of an infinite cosmos, a voyage through space begins to unfold.
I'll hear some more. I want to see how literal they get.
Tale of discovery and transformation in the year 2001. A journey to behold.
Can I get a copy of all these songs?
Flow through the silence, we listen free, exploring the mysteries of the universe's domain. A monolith, a symbol of higher intelligence, guiding us to the realms of cosmic domain. 2001: A Space Odyssey. With every step, a new revelation we see.
Okay, you guys get
Guys, we're laughing now, but like literally get used to it. 10 years from now, this is going to be half of music. It's going to be computer generated.
Yeah, I know. I would say that's the worst one of all the ones we've heard so far.
Like from a musical perspective?
Like this lyrically, it's very clunky.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like sections where you expect the line to end, and yet they have like a couple more words to fill in.
Right. It's like in Parks and Rec when John Ralphio raps and always like adds another syllable at the very end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, 3 more. Here we go.
In the shadows,
They all start within the shadows.
A mind like a diamond waiting to shine. With a pen and a book, he scrawls his truth, unseen by the world, but it's all in due time. Oh yeah, a troubled soul.
Got it.
Haunted by the
Kyle.
8 Mile.
That's a no.
I think I know what it is, but I'm going to take my 15 seconds. James,
Okay.
tell me when 15 seconds are up.
Here we go.
past. Demons creeping, but he won't let them last. Don't let them last. Through the pain and the struggle, he finds his way. A spirit unbreakable.
Okay, 15
I got it.
seconds.
Here to stay.
I got it. I'm choosing between two. They did say the word unbreakable, but I think it's a beautiful mind.
Nope. All right, both of you guys are eligible. Ready?
Yeah.
Goodwill Hunting.
I got it.
Got it.
All right, let's just say that's a tie. Let's just say that's.
I think it was a tie.
That's hilarious.
You want to hear more chorus?
Yeah, I want to hear the chorus for this.
Got a heart that's strong. Goodwill hunting will prove them all wrong. With your intellect and your unfailing soul. Goodwill hunting, you'll find your own control.
There you go.
That's a legitimate banger. Like,
when the chorus comes in and it's like Goodwill Hunting.
that's a great chorus, though. I also like that it's written in second person.
So by this point, I was telling it like, just don't say the title of the movie until the chorus, which
Wise.
helped.
Yeah.
Helped for sure. Okay, 2 more. Ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
I want a war, guns and bombs, fear and chaos all along. In the midst of it all, a soldier stands tall, fighting for freedom, risking it all. Through the trenches, gunfire blaze,
I got it.
a band of brothers united.
I got it.
Yeah.
Band of Brothers.
Oh.
Kyle, do you want 15 more seconds?
Yeah, let me know when 15 are up. I think I got it.
Okay.
I changed right after he said Band of Brothers. I was going to say the other one.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, give me
At a
15.
base day, they search for one man lost in the fray. Private Ryan, they will save the day.
Yeah, say Private Ryan.
Okay.
That's what.
Private Ryan, they will save the day.
Yep.
All right, last one. Here we go.
Well, gather round, everybody, don't be shy. Don't be shy, don't be shy. We got a story that'll make you fly. It's a party cat with a style so cool. So cool. He's the talk of the town, ain't nobody a fool. Nobody a fool. He's got a funky, funky way of walking. With his pimp top clothes, man, he's always rocking.
Oh, got it.
From the city to the club, he's always.
Kyle.
This is Pootie Tang.
This is Pootie Tang.
Yeah. I thought so, yeah.
All right, here we go. You got to listen to more of this.
Yeah.
Did you say, like, what?
What?
Did you tell it to be like doo-wop music? What did you tell it to be?
I said with
Yeah.
doo-wop music.
Doo-wop.
Pootie Tang's the name, baby, ain't it grand? Singing bop, a diddy bop, Pootie Tang, Pootie Tang. Ooh, it's a smooth talker with a sweet, sweet slang, sweet slang. Ooh, bop, a diddy bop, Pootie Tang, Pootie Tang.
That's a banger.
Get on your feet and let the good times bang. Let it bang.
James, you remember there was that meme a while ago where people were doing the ending of movies, but they did it like with the Transformers Linkin Park song?
Say that again?
So, okay. So, like, I don't know if you remember Transformers, like the 2000 and whatever version. It ends with like Optimus Prime. He gives a monologue. He looks off into the distance, and this Linkin Park song comes in.
I don't
and it cuts the
remember that,
credits.
but- Okay.
Okay. And then people like would take other famous movie endings, and then they would like have the final line, and then whatever movie it was, they would like cut that Linkin Park song. That's like this weird juxtaposition.
It sounds familiar, but I don't really remember it.
Okay. I want you to do that with like Saving Private Ryan. Like show the end, have like old Matt Damon, like, did I live a good life? Was I a good person?
Sure.
And then, you know, like the American flag, and then have with the credits
Have
start,
Linkin
cut
Park.
right to that song, like that Twitch pop song you did about Saving Private Ryan.
Nice. Okay, so that was fun.
Yeah, that was great, James.
The downside is they only let you generate like 2 a day. So that's why we only have 8. It's because it took me all week to just 2 a day. Maybe it'll be worth getting a subscription for 1 week or something.
Okay,
like that.
potential names.
Mm-hmm. I had best original song, like an Oscar. I know it's not a movie title, but
sure, that's good.
What
the
else you
Sound
got?
of Music.
Sound of Music. I was thinking Pitch Perfect.
Ooh,
Could be
Pitch
one.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Or music and lyrics.
Oh yeah. I like
Yeah.
that.
I think I like Pitch Perfect the best right now.
We got lots of options.
Yeah.
What was your favorite song?
Oh, Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting. I think Good Will
Yeah,
Hunting.
yeah, for
Just because
sure.
it's generally vague. There's so many movies about geniuses, right? Because that's kind of like what she's singing about. And then when the
Right.
chorus comes in and it's like Good Will Hunting. All right. We got to
It's
hear that
also
again.
a legit good chorus.
Let's hear that one more time.
Yeah, I'll hear it again.
Then we'll get out of here.
In the shadows, he hides his brilliance. A mind like a diamond waiting to shine. With a pen and a book, he scrawls his truth, unseen by the world, but it's all in due time. Oh yeah, a troubled soul, haunted by the past. Demons creeping, but he won't let them last. Won't let them last. Through the pain and the struggle, he finds his way. A spirit unbreakable, he's here to stay. Goodwill Hunting, you've got a heart that's strong. Goodwill Hunting, you'll prove them all wrong. With your intellect and your unfailing soul. Goodwill Hunting, you'll find your own control.
James, remember how we used to play music at the end of the podcast?
Yeah.
Like licensed music, and now they're on YouTube. We got and everything.
Right. You want me to play this?
Well, you could play. I mean, you could do that, or like you could for every episode. I don't know how much you want to do this, and this be distracting. Ask it to write a song about the movie we reviewed, and that could be our outro music. It's like a 30-second AI song about whatever movie you saw.
All right. These are like a minute, 37 seconds long, but they do have infinite song where you can just tell it like make a 10-hour song about this.
No.
And it'll just make a 10-hour song. I mean, I'm sure it's just going in and out of choruses and stuff like that, repeating the
Right.
same stuff over and over. But
Amazing.
Yeah. Do they do bridges, or is it all verse chorus right now?
right now it looks like verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And then
Okay.
that's a minute 37, at
Okay.
least of the, free account. I know there's like a lot of other options if you pay for the account. But yeah, that one's called Unbreakable Spirit.
It's great.
The other fun thing
it's stuck in my head already.
The other fun thing too is you type in a prompt and it always spits out 2 songs.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. And so you can pick which one, because there was always one that was like a little better than the other for sure. All right. That was fun. Thanks, guys. If you, I had a transition, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, if you have a fun game, this is not what I was thinking, but if you have a fun game that's AI based, let us know, because I feel like there's a lot of untapped potential with AI out there. This was the first one that I could think of that would make sense in a podcast audio form. Because like images, what are we going to do? Like generate ChatGPT images?
Right.
Although Zach and I played a game on this once. I don't remember what though. That was AI based. Do you remember that, Zach?
I don't know.
What did we do? We played a game that was AI based. I think we asked AI questions and then tried to see what
You guys
they
did
would
AI
come up.
trivia.
That's what it was.
And this is where the whole debate came of like, is the 2004 Oscars for movies from 2004 or 2003? Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I remember. So yeah, if you have any AI generated movie games, let us know via email, heyguys@cinereelists.com, or send us anything else that you want. We'll discuss it on the podcast. Also check out the video version on YouTube, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/cinereelists, or leave us an Apple Podcast review, 5 stars only. We'd appreciate any of those types of things. You could also follow us on social media at Cinereelists on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Or you could follow me on Twitter or Blue Sky or Letterboxd at YoJRB.
You can follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd at Shabin.
You can find me on Letterboxd at PeterSKB.
These 2 guys will be back next week. I'm not here next week. I don't know what they're going to do. I'm sure it's going to be crazy. We'll see. Big plans while I'm gone, though. Right?
Buckle up, everyone.
We'll see you guys there. Until then, keep it cinereal.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.